One of the ways this chapter discusses security is by talking about it in terms of ethics, privacy, and then the security aspects, which are threats to information and ways to mitigate those threats through our protective activities. So, we'll break this up into ethics, privacy, and security. Starting with ethics. So ethics is the principle and standards that guide our behavior towards others, and ethics are something that develop. Our ethical structure develops as we mature, and generally it's rooted in history and culture and religion. But once we've established our ethical structure, generally that stays with us throughout our lifetime. So by understanding someone's ethical structure, you generally can be assured that it's going to remain consistent. So not only are our actions determined by our ethical structure, we also determine our actions by the circumstances or the situation. And this graphic here gives you a pretty good look. Circumstances are the things that are on the outside here that influence our decisions to either conduct minor ethical violations or very serious ethical violations. These determining factors are things like consequences of our actions, the likelihood of their effect, the time to consequences, things like that. So for something that's minor, something like, as the text mentions, sending an email, a personal email on company time, we may not see that the consequences of those actions are very significant. So we go ahead and decide to do that, feeling like it's a minor ethical violation. However, at the core here, at the very inside, are the very serious ethical violations, and this would be like making a decision to steal someone's identity for your own financial gain, and how that would hurt someone. Obviously, society's opinion on that is poor. Consequences could be severe. These are the things that we would consider in making the determination to violate ethics. And these are the lists of the circumstances of the situation that are those factors that influence our decisions. That are one of the ways that we face ethical decisions or dilemmas all the time is with IP, or intellectual property. This is the intangible creative work that is embodied in physical form, and we see this with written materials, we see this with recorded materials such as music or videos. And from a legal perspective, we have copyrights that provide some type of protection to that IP. Then there's also this thing called fair use doctrine, which allows in certain circumstances to be able to use copyrighted material. And for example, in this class, we have our copyrighted materials, which are those cases that ask for you to purchase through study and that, thereby buying a copyright of the material, your right to use it, and however, had you not been asked to read and consume that material, but rather referenced it indirectly or in a small way in this course, then we wouldn't be violating copyright protection, because we weren't really using it in a way that by not having you purchase it, somebody would be out of revenue. In fact, that could have been replaced with some other material, and that would have worked. For example, sometimes we'll use graphic off the internet, and if we're not using it in a prominent way that we feel like it's taking away someone's right to earn a living, then it's okay. That would be following through with the fair use doctrine. Pirated software. It's not just software. We also see pirated music. It's a very prominent way that we see copyrighted materials violated. Now, privacy is the other key thing that we want to talk about in this chapter, and it is different from security. So, privacy is our right to be left alone when we want to be, to have some control over our own personal information, and not to be observed or monitored without our consent. Security, on the other hand, they are the mechanisms and the things that we do to keep intrusions from violating the protection of our digital assets, if you want to put it in a digital frame of mind. There are two dimensions of privacy. Obviously, the psychological, which is our understanding or our sense of the control we have over our personal information, and then we have the legal protections. And then some of the things that we face as employees or even as consumers that have a potential to violate our privacy are things such as keyloggers, which is software that is designed to monitor our keystrokes or even our mouse clicks. We have screen capture programs, they capture screens. We have email, Obviously, email is monitored constantly by our organization. That's pretty common actually. Web traffic monitoring is also pretty common. Hardware keyloggers are actual hardware devices that capture keystrokes. Then we have event data recorders that collect information from things such as our driving, our speed, and our airbag control modules.